It comes in 4 great flavors: fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape.
That's right. Only 110 calories per can, so it's low carb. Enjoy yourself some Game Up. And Chevy, why don't we tell people what we got coming up?
All right, July 20th, UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Jandiroba. I haven't looked at the rest of that card. Might be some other good names on there. Bit of a soft main event, but
yeah,
we get those sometimes. So moving on.
Get those a little more lately.
July 27th, UFC 304, Edwards versus Muhammad 2. That card is looking tasty, so that one's going to be fun. And then August 3rd, UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov.
All right, so
that's on ABC.
Yeah, those ABC ones tend to be a little more attractive. They try to put a little bigger fights on there. Let's get into some stuff that happened this past weekend. A little boxing action. Masvidal versus Diaz. Nate Diaz avenges his MMA loss to Masvidal in a boxing match, and majority decision. What I do know is this: I didn't end up watching this, but Nate got the win by majority decision, and from what I understand, they were very active throughout the fight. Like somebody was making a comparison that they were in double digits, both of them, every round. So both guys very active, maybe probably not as technical as most, pure boxers would be, but they gave you what they had. So, hey, good win. Good win for Nate Diaz in the sense it's probably going to open up some stuff for him, maybe something to do with Jake or Logan, or, you never know if they invite him back to the UFC, but Nate keeping himself relevant.
Yeah, let's not forget both guys are in their late 30s too. So to have that kind of volume is great. I also didn't watch the fight, but shout out to Nate for getting the win. I saw Connor bet on Nate, bet like $500,000 on Nate and won a bunch. So shout out to him, I guess, for making more money. But
that's a side question. Do you think Connor, part of him, wants to leave the UFC?
Yeah, I think he fully wants to leave the UFC. He's not going to win a belt in the UFC unless maybe he wins like the BMF belt or something like that. That's a possibility, but he's not going to win, a division belt, and he's going to make a lot more money, with his self-promotion in a boxing match that he can promote. He'll make 10 times as much as he's making in the UFC, I bet.
That's what I'm thinking now. Like if you just box Nate, like he'll make so much more money probably, and he'll make more money boxing Jake Paul or any of that stuff. And I imagine bare knuckle fighting would probably even throw a shit ton of money for him just to.
Well, he owns equity in that company now, right?
Yeah.
So
I could see him doing that too.
We could see one of those maybe. I don't think there's a lot of real rich dudes who want to do bare knuckle fighting. Ask Luke Rockhold.
Anyway, congratulations to Nate Diaz, but let's talk about this Saturday, Namajunas versus Cortez. Chevy, any fights you want to talk about on the undercard of this card?
Yeah, Abdul Razak Alhassan versus Cody Brundage. That's a pretty good fight. Okay. And then Julian Erosa versus Christian Rodriguez, C-Rod. Also good. Those are on the prelims. And then on the actual undercard of the main card, Drew Dober is fighting a late replacement fighter, Gene Silva. Somebody's going to sleep in that fight. So I don't know if you remember Gene Silva. He just fought Charles Jourdain, I think the end of June, and he knocked him out. He's part of the Fighting Nerds camp, so they put the glasses on. He put the glasses on Rogan afterwards. So all just a little power. He's just a little power guy. So one of them's probably going to knock the other one out.
All right, so it should be some fun fights this weekend. They're in Denver, so it's not the Apex. So it tends to be a little more lively with an actual crowd. So that's always good.
Yeah, also people gas out a lot easier up there, but we'll see.
That's true too. That is true.
Yeah, you noticed no heavyweights. I didn't see any heavyweights on the card though, so we can avoid that shit show. But let's move on to this co-main event though. Pretty good matchmaking. Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Muslim Salikhov.
Yeah, Muslim Salikhov is 19-5, 13 KOs, 2 subs. 4 decisions. He's got a kickboxing background, and he's on a 2-fight losing streak right now, so he wants to win. Ponzinibbio is a veteran. He's fought a lot of the best fighters in the UFC. He's 29-7, 16 KOs, 6 subs, 7 decisions. He's lost 3 out of his last 4. Last fight was over a year ago, so not very active. I want to pick Ponzinibbio because the name value and what he's meant, but the fact that he hasn't been so active, I do wonder if he's on a decline right now. So I'm going to go with Muslim, and I'm going to say that I think this is going to be a firefight. I'm going to go second round TKO.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a couple of old guys getting after it. Muslim's 40, and I think Ponzinibbio's late 30s, maybe 40 as well. So tough to pick a winner since neither one's been in great form, as you mentioned. Yeah. Also, neither one has been even consistent with their fighting at all. So I think I'm with you. I'm going to go with Salikhov. I'll pick him by TKO. I'm going to say round 3. I'm with you. I think it'll be a firefight. I'm just hoping for an exciting fight, though. I do like Ponzinibbio, but I do like when you see a Dagestani who's a kickboxer instead of a wrestler. I like those anomalies, so hoping for an exciting fight.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to this main event, which was originally supposed to be Macy Barber versus Rose Namajunas, but Tracy Cortez is stepping in late notice replacement. So Tracy Cortez versus Rose Namajunas.
I think Rose would have liked Macy Barber. She's got a little bit more of a name value than Tracy. And Tracy's an interesting fight, too. She's 11-1. She's only have 1 KO and only 1 sub, but 9 decisions. But she's 5-0 in the UFC, and she's on an 11-fight win streak. She only lost her debut, and she's won every fight since then. Obviously, not somebody who's finishing people or anything like that, and she's got a few split decisions. But nonetheless, 11 victories, only 1 defeat, 5-0 in the UFC. That's not bad. So we'll take that in consideration. But this is Rose Namajunas, who's 12-6, 2 KOs, 5 subs, 5 decisions, former strawweight champion. And I believe, is this her 3rd fight now at flyweight?
Yeah, I think so. 3rd, yeah.
So, and her only loss was to, help me out with her name, Farouk?
Oh, yeah, Farrow. Manon Farrow, yeah.
Manon Farrow, who I believe is possibly fighting for the title next. Like she's in the top contenders. And it was a dogfight where she barely lost it and she busted up her hand in that. And so taking all those in consideration, taking into consideration that Rose was a champion in another weight class, I got to go with Rose. I got to go with Rose here. If you look at that 1 loss on Cortez's record in her first fight, it was a submission loss. I want to say it was a choke. I think it's going to be more of the same. I think Rose will get a choke. I'm going to say guillotine choke. We'll go round 3.
My first thought is that this is short notice for Tracy, and Rose is technically better everywhere, on the feet and on the ground. But that being said, Tracy is as tough as they come. She's been in a lot of wars. And obviously, we know her record in the UFC. She's undefeated in the UFC. I don't think Rose is going to be able to finish her unless she gets her neck like in some sort of scramble, which is obviously a possibility. But both fighters are pretty inactive, so that makes it a wash. Hard to say who's on a streak or consistent. I used to be a very big fan of Rose, but lately I kind of just get the feeling that she doesn't love fighting like she used to before she got the belt or whatever. And now she's up a weight class. I think she's a bit small for the weight class. So I'm going to pick Tracy Cortez. I think it's a decision. No, I don't think she's going to finish Rose, but I am going to pick Tracy Cortez by decision.
Okay. All right. Tracy Cortez by decision. I'm going to go with Rose. 3rd round submission. We'll see who's right. All right. That's why we have the fight. So why don't we tell people what we got coming up one more time?
All right. July 20th, UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Jandiroba. And then July 27th, UFC 304, Edwards versus Muhammad from Manchester, England. And then August 3rd, UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov.
All right. Looking forward to that UK card. So That should be a lot of fun. And hey, we'll see. There's some good fights along the way there too. But all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy Namajunas versus Cortez this weekend, and enjoy some Game Up.
If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest liquor store.